Have you ever stopped to think about how a huge global company keeps its pricing from just imploding into total chaos? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on the engine that powers it all in so many of these places, SAP. We're going to see how it takes this incredibly tangled web of business rules and turns it into a seriously powerful tool for strategic control.
Does this sound familiar? I mean, this is the classic fight, right? Business creativity versus system logic. The marketing team comes up with this brilliant new promotion, and some poor engineer somewhere is left trying to figure out how to make it actually work without the whole system just falling over.
And that, right there, is the billion-dollar question. How do you possibly build a system that can give marketing all the flexibility they want, but also give finance the rock-solid rigor they demand? If you get this wrong, you're literally leaking profit with every single sale.
So, where does it all start? It usually starts with something that sounds super simple. A customer, maybe a sales rep, just says, "Hey, the price is wrong." But that one little phrase, that can unlock a dizzying world of complexity.
I mean, what does wrong even mean? Are they saying the base price is just flat out incorrect? Or did a discount not apply? Was the tax calculation off? Maybe the freight charge was missing entirely. Heck, it could be a rounding difference of a single penny or something really deep and technical, like a failed internal markup between two divisions of the same company. Every one of these points to a completely different problem. Now, the knee-jerk reaction for a lot of people would be to just start writing custom code for every little scenario. An if-then statement for this customer, another one for that Tuesday promotion. But that is an absolute nightmare to maintain. So instead, SAP uses this incredibly elegant, configurable framework of rules. It's called the condition technique. And this powerful framework, this condition technique, it really just rests on four simple pillars. Seriously, once you understand these four ideas, you'll get the logic behind not just SAP, but pretty much any well-designed pricing engine out there. So to make this super easy, let's think of this system as a price detective, okay? And to solve the case of what is the correct price, our detective needs a toolkit with four absolutely essential items. Let's break them down. First up, pillar number one, our detective needs to know what to look for. In SAP, we call these condition types. Just think of them as labels for business concepts. For instance, the system uses a little code like PR00 to mean base price or K007 for a customer discount. It's really just a systematic way of labeling every single piece of the pricing puzzle. Okay, second, the detective has to know where to look for these numbers. These are the condition tables. And the best way to think about these is like different filing cabinets. You might have one cabinet that holds special prices for a specific customer and material combination. Then you've got another, more general one that just holds the standard price for the material itself. Third, and this one is absolutely crucial, the detective needs a search plan. This is the access sequence. It tells the system the exact order to check those filing cabinets. First, it says, check the secret cabinet for a highly specific customer deal. If you don't find anything there, then, and only then, go check the general priceless cabinet. This is how you guarantee the most specific price always wins. It's brilliant. And finally, our detective writes the final report. This is the pricing procedure. Think of it as the calculation sheet. It takes all the values the detective found, the base price, any discounts, taxes, freight, and it applies them in the correct sequence, which is so important, right? It makes sure that the tax is calculated after the discount is applied, not before. The order of operations is everything. Okay, so that's the theory. But how does our detective actually use this toolkit to solve a real case? Let's walk through a simple, everyday scenario and see it in action. All right, an order comes in. The access sequence, our search plan, kicks into gear. Step 10, it checks the customer plus material table for a super special deal. Nope, nothing there. Okay, on to step 20. It checks for a more general price list deal. Still nothing. Fine. Step 30, it checks the most general table, just the basic material price. Bingo, found it. $100. The search stops right there. That's our price. It's clean, it's logical, and it's totally predictable. But look, just finding a price is really only half the battle. The true genius of this framework is how it moves way beyond a simple lookup to actively enforce business strategy and protect your profit margins. This is where it gets really clever. So here's a classic problem. I'm sure you've seen it. Your company has a standard customer discount, but then marketing goes and launches a big promotional discount on top of that. How in the world do you stop a customer from getting both? From double dipping their way to a price that just bleeds your margin dry?
Well, without a strategy, the discounts just stack on top of each other and boom, you're giving away 15%. But with this framework, you can create something called an exclusion group. You just put both discounts into this group and you tell the system, hey, find the best discount for the customer, but only apply one of them. So the customer's happy, they get the better 10% deal, and your profit margin is totally protected. That is strategic control in action.
All right, let's look at another really common scenario. How does a system handle those mix and match deals, where a discount only applies if you buy a certain quantity across a bunch of different products?
So imagine the rule is buy 10 or more shirts, you get a discount. A customer orders 5 red shirts and 6 blue shirts. Now, if you look at each line item by itself, neither one qualifies. 5 is less than 10, 6 is less than 10. So you'd think, tough luck, no discount for you.
But by flagging the discount as a group condition, you're telling the system to step back and look at the bigger picture. So it adds the quantities together. 5 plus 6 equals 11. Since 11 is greater than 10, the condition is met, and the discount gets applied to both the red and the blue shirts. It's an incredibly powerful way to run these complex promotions without writing a single line of custom code.
So when you add all this up, what you get is way more than just a pricing calculator. What you really have is a control panel for the entire business, one that lets companies be both incredibly creative and incredibly disciplined with their revenue strategy. And if there's one big idea to take away from all this, it's this concept of structured flexibility. The system creates this beautiful separation between the rules, that's the stable framework, the logic that IT owns, and the rates, the actual prices and discount percentages that the business needs to change all the time. This empowers the business to be super agile, but within a safe, controlled environment.
And that's why this is all so critical. Because at the end of the day, pricing is where a company earns its salary. If you get it right, everything from revenue to margins to customer trust just falls into place. But if you get it wrong, well, almost nothing else you do can fix it.
So, I'll leave you with this one question to think about. In your world, is pricing just a number in a spreadsheet, or is it a strategic lever that you're actively pulling to drive results? Because as we've just seen, the difference between the two is everything.